Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is McKenna and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I did this last year and I did it the year before when I had a blog instead of a YouTube channel, but I did this last year and I'm excited to do it again, even if it is kind of more than halfway through the year. I would like to share what I have been reading and what I have been enjoying, and maybe some not as much. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Also, I forgot to write down who this tag originated from, so I will make sure to link the original video down in the description below and try and like pop it up on screen where the original, who the original creator of the video is. So just so you are aware, I didn't forget to add that. But the first question is, what is the best book you have read so far in 2020? And I actually have two answers for this. They are two very, very different answers. But those two books that I have read this year that are my current favorites are Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour and My Friend Dahmer by Derf Backderf. Like I said, two completely different wheelhouses. Both kind of made me a little emotional while I was reading them, but let's talk about Everything Leads to You first. This one actually just took me by surprise in how much I enjoyed it. I loved it so much. I read it in June for Pride Month, and I have been wanting to read this book for a while, and it was just a time where I couldn't really read physically as much, and I started it physically, and then I just picked it up on audio, which was perfect. I loved it. I ended up just loving it so much that it's going to be one of my favorite books of the year, I know for sure. I just enjoyed it to the ends of the earth, and I would highly recommend this book to anyone who wants to read it. It is about this girl who wants to become a production designer for movies, like design sets, and she is kind of getting out of this on-again, off-again relationship with a girl at her previous workplace, and her brother gives her and her friend his apartment for the summer and just says to do something great. And when they go to an estate sale for a deceased actor, they find a letter that just takes them on an amazing adventure over the summer, and she finds love, and there's just so much about this to just love and enjoy when reading it. So that's why I picked Everything Leads to You. And then My Friend Dahmer was another surprising one. I started a little bit of a serial killer kick, like wanting to learn about them back in November of last year, and before this I hadn't really read any serial killer books, like nonfiction wise, and I knew this would be a pretty good, you know, entry-level one. There was another reason I was reading this for like a collab, and it took me by surprise by how much I enjoyed it. Personally, Jeffrey Dahmer is one of the serial killers I find the most interesting, just with his entire backstory and how he got away with so much for so long. He was cold and calculating, and his history plays a lot of a role in what ultimately ended up becoming his lifestyle further along, and this book really helps you understand what's going on in his backstory. This book is illustrated and written by a guy that knew him in high school and I believe junior high, and chronicles things that he witnessed firsthand happening with Jeffrey Dahmer that he believes may have ultimately led to him becoming a serial killer, and such a prolific one at that. Overall, I just thought this is a really insightful read, and it just kind of skyrocketed up to the top of my list of reads. Question 2 is, what is the best sequel you have read so far in 2020? I again couldn't pick just one for this one. I actually have two, and they are both my most anticipated releases of this year. And those are The King of Crows by Libba Bray and Check Please Sticks and Scones by Ngozi Ukazu. Both series hold such a special place in my heart, and each of them are the conclusion of the designated series. So it was definitely saddening to see both of them end. However, I really enjoyed both of them. I do know there have been some less than stellar reviews about The King of Crows, and I have meant to reread it since I read it originally. It did take me a little while to trudge through, but when I read it, I enjoyed it, so hopefully I will read it again and still enjoy it as much as I did the first time. And as far as Check Please Sticks and Scones, I had read a lot of it going in just as the webcomic, but to see it all right there, it made me so happy to be able to consume that entire story in a day, and the rest of this story I had previously reread the first book in anticipation, and it just made me so happy to be thrust back into this world and see everything that was happening with the gang. Question number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but really want to. I'm in the middle of reading I'll Be the One by Lila Lee, which is one of my most anticipated releases of the year that I am super excited to read. On top of that, I think I want to get to Chain of Gold by the end of the year, hopefully. And is there anything else I can think of? 10 Things I Hate About Pinky by Sandy Manon, I believe, just came out, and I would like to read that, but I haven't got a chance to yet, so. Question 4 is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. For me, that is A Sky Beyond the Storm by Sandy Manon. This comes out in December, and I have to read the 3rd book first, but I am still really excited to continue on in this series, the conclusion of this series, because I really enjoyed the first 2 books when I read them last year. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year, and for me, that was Dumplin' by Julie Murphy. I had previously really enjoyed Ramona Blue by Julie Murphy and had heard a lot of good things about Dumplin', as far as it being, you know, a fat girl going into a beauty pageant and how empowering that could feel. But it honestly just kind of fell flat for me. The main character, Willow Dean, seemed kind of hypocritical in some of the things that she was saying, and the beauty pageant didn't play a whole lot into it. I didn't like the way that Willow Dean treated a lot of people, mainly her best friends in this book. And I thought that while she herself was fat, she kind of held others at a double standard where she was allowed to be fat and she shouldn't get ridiculed for it, but another girl, just because she tried to look past the fact that she was fat, or tried to make people look past the fact that she was fat, like tried to work past it, she was just clueless and needed to get like a rude awakening or something of that sort. I don't know, I just didn't really like that. Question number 6 was the biggest surprise of the year, and for me so far that has been The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is another book I read in Pride Month and that I really enjoyed. I actually ended up reading it in a day. It was a book in verse just about this guy and his discoveries throughout life. Ultimately, it is about the main character discovering drag as something that just sets him free from his life and the expectations placed on him, and it is just such a wonderful thing for him to discover and be able to express himself through. And it is a wonderful story. I really enjoyed it, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who wants to read a book about that, anything similar. Question number 7 is your favorite new author. This was an interesting one for me because I actually have been rereading a lot more this year than I have in previous years, and reading from authors I had previously read from. But one consistent new one that I enjoyed well enough, most of her books in a specific series, was Helena Hunting. I read her Pucked series all the way through, all the audiobooks that are on Audible Escape currently, and re-listened to the first book, as well as I'm currently in the middle of her Pucked Outtakes, a little novella. I did much prefer some more than others, but I know she has quite a few other romance books that I'm interested to get into and read. She is really the first adult romance author I have read from, other than like when I read The Hating Game last December. This is the first one that I have gone back after reading the first book from the author and continue to read. So I think that says something. Question number 8 is your favorite new fictional crush. This one is an interesting one for me because I don't find myself having that big of like fictional crushes on characters anymore. However, I did start to get a new appreciation for Memphis Campbell from the Diviners series this year, as a crush-worthy character. I genuinely loved him when I was rereading the books in the series that I reread to read The King of Crows and in The King of Crows, and 100% he is now one of my bookish crushes, if there's a list. You know what I mean. if there were to be a list, he would be on it. And the other one, just for the sake of having a new fictional crush to add to the repertoire or whatever, I would pick Randy Ballistic from the Puck series. He is from the third book, I believe. Yes, third and 4.5. But he has the whole beard thing going on and like a sleeve of tattoos. And like... Number 9. Number 9 is your favorite new fictional character. This is actually one I didn't write down an answer for because I can't think of one off the top of my head that I really like fell for, you know? So I'm just gonna try and get into Goodreads real quick, see the books that I have read this year, and see if there's one that sticks out to me. My new favorite fictional character has got to be Isaac Sullivan from the Devouring Grace series by Christine Lynn Herman. While it took me a little while to get through the book, I did end up really enjoying it, and he was one of the main reasons why. And specifically the ending to the first book just made me think that he's amazing and just made me feel for him so deeply, because that is a situation that I have been in and it's not a fun or easy situation. So I really commend him for having to make that decision on his own and just dealing with whatever consequences come his way. He has to, you know, to get out of that situation. But he is definitely my new favorite character. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I am pulling back out another previous answer for this one in Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour. This book definitely made me cry at work while I was reading the ebook on my computer. However, it made me cry, and like I said, it's one of my favorites of the year so far, so just please go read it if you have not already. Question 11 is a book that made you happy, and for me that was Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. Talk about books calling me out this year on my shit. There was just one quote in this book that really, you know, that made me feel called out. But other than that, I really enjoyed it, and it really did make me happy. I need to find the exact quote, but like I said, it hurt me physically. Oh, there it is. Can't you love someone without them loving you? And the answer is I would not recommend. Question 12 is your favorite book to movie adaptation you have watched this year, and I haven't watched any but one. I watched one book to movie adaptation, and that was Dumplin', and I liked it more than the book. While I am a firm believer in book before movie, this movie was better in almost every conceivable way. So, question number 13 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. So, this is me a little while later. I am going to change my answer for the most beautiful book I bought yet this year to I'll Be the One by Lila Lee. I read this book and I loved it so much, and then I bought it, and oh my gosh, is the cover gorgeous. And without the dust jacket, the text on the spine is holographic, and the colors are just so beautiful, and it's just so wonderful, and it's beautiful inside and out, and honestly it's probably gonna end up being one of my favorites of the year, but like, I don't know, I just had to mention it now. So your favorite video or review that you have filmed this year? I'll give you both. My favorite video probably is my VSCO Girl VSCO Readathon vlog. I did really enjoy making that. That is a month-long readathon vlog. It is almost an hour long, and I was just really proud of it when I put it out. You know, I took it upon myself to dive into VSCO culture and everything, and I felt really, really good about it when I posted it. And then my favorite review is my Bookish Beauty review of The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. That is the most recent video I have posted before this, and like I said, I'm so very proud of that video. I'm so very proud of the makeup that I did in that video, and I will link both of those videos down below for you to watch if you would like to. And the final question is, what books do you need to get to by the end of the year? I need to get to the rest of my 20 books to read in 2020. Very specifically, I want to get to Reign of the Fallen by Sarah Glenn Marsh and The Reaper at the Gates by Sabaa Tahir. I need to read Dead Queens Club by Hannah Kappen. That's basically all I have for this video today, so yeah. Go ahead and leave a comment down below about your answers to any of these questions, what you think of my answers, what you need to read by the end of the year, anything like that. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you sometime for a new one. Bye!